I found out about these trails just riding around on the paved trail. And I saw the kind of the dirt entrances and I was curious. I grew up, I had a dirt bike motorcycle. So I've always kind of had kind of the interest, and I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so I wanted to check it out.
I think a lot of people just want to see where a trail goes. You see where it starts, but you don't know where it ends, and you don't know what's in the middle. And so the curiosity will just draw you in, and that's certainly what was compelling to me as a young boy growing up on the river in Missouri. I mean, it was always about exploration. And the bicycle is a freedom machine. So, bicycle in the woods is just, an ecstatic thing, right?
People are just now discovering, like, I've lived here for 10 years and had no idea there were trails behind the art center. And they're like, yeah, and they're 100% volunteer maintained.
I think most people were just enjoying their time in the woods. They weren't thinking big picture about whose park it was or whether they should be there or not. And it became pretty popular. Mountain biking was becoming popular, and Browns Woods is a beautiful preserve. It's a great place to spend time outside. And unfortunately, instead of a dialogue about how to share the resource, there became a pretty public battle about kicking bicycles out of Browns Woods. In that conflict, cyclists got organized and said, listen, we don't aim to cause harm. We think this can be done responsibly. We'd like the opportunity to do so. And they ultimately lost that battle. But it did forge an organization that has been working ever since. So that was 1996. So the conflict over Browns Woods made trail lovers get organized, study up on trail science, make friends with the governments who are responsible for these lands.
So this water is going to naturally flow here. So we put two drains, tile drains underneath here. We dig it way down, and we gravel in there, and then we gravel over it, and then we put these pavers on it. And today, so we did it last year and it worked awesome. Well, if you remember June 30th, we had 10 inches of rain and we had all kinds of crazy rains, so it eroded it out. So we're just basically redoing a little section, and then we hauled all this rock up to armor it front and back. So hopefully that if it does rain hard again, we don't lose all the gravel and all the hard work.
The first success for CITA really came in, somewhat ironically, with Polk County for what people now know as the Sycamore Trail. The county essentially holds a lease on Army Corps land along the Des Moines River. It was understood that the loss of Browns Woods was something that could be mitigated, and so why don't we go take a look at Sycamore? Well, the trouble with Sycamore is it's floodplain, which is most Iowa public land. And it was heavily used by motorized vehicles. So there was inherent conflict in that space. And I think one of the things they understood as managers was when you put good use in a place, the bad use goes away. The core of Sycamore is actually an abandoned brick factory and a place where a lot of cars were stolen, or at least they were a joyride that got abandoned in the woods, often flipped and burned. And the Central Iowa Trail Association at one point did a pretty good cleanup with the county, where they pulled, I think, 7 or 8 cars out of the woods that day.
And I've been wondering who created these trails and who maintains them, because I really appreciate it a lot.
You had it perfect. Just continue that taper coming down a little bit.
The Central Iowa Trail Association learns how to work with land managers. Whether you're a city park or the Department of Natural Resources, the Central Iowa Trail Association is a group that knows how to design and build trails and will take care of them at no cost. So the value proposition is pretty compelling. It's really just a matter of building the trust and keeping the promise over time that then creates more opportunity for the trail work to get done.
As I started doing more and more mountain biking, I started riding the trails more and more because I was training for racing. And one thing led to another. And, on social media, I saw CITA and I became a member. They were looking for people to be on the board. And I thought to myself, I've been doing this for a long time. Maybe it's time for me to give back. So I threw my name in the hat and said, I'll give it a try. What's the worst that happens? Well, after 2 years of being on the board, I guess you could say the worst that happens is you get elected president. And so now I've been the president for a year and I've got 1 more year left to go.
That's typically where you miss it, right at the end. I had some buddies said they were coming out to Banner, do some mountain biking. You want to go? I'm like, yeah, I'll go. So I was on a borrowed bike, and I'd never clipped in before, never had worn these pedals. I'd mountain biked, you know, a little bit years before that, but nothing like this. And I rode here that first day, and I'm like, wow. You know, I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this kind of stuff, especially out here. But kind of got me hooked from there, personally, and I ended up getting a bike the next season. The guy that was a steward out here at the time, and I'd helped out here quite a bit. You know, work days, doing stuff like that. But the guy that was the actual trail steward, it was something he just wanted to step away from. You know, he kind of served his time out here and asked if I was interested in doing it, and kind of been doing that ever since.
Those routes are super fun to ride down.
And by super fun, I'm gonna say a little bit sketchy.
We have done all the mountain biking together too. So she kind of got me started, and then I did it.
And then he's been dragging me along ever since.
Yeah, and so it took you years to get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least to the level we are now.
You know, with social media, it's a lot easier to find trails and trail groups now, but 10 years ago, you kind of had to know somebody, or you had to find the first website or first group, and then you could kind of follow it into the rest of it, but it was really hard to find the first one. And so we actually found the CITA website, which was not quite what it is now, but still it was like the one place you could actually go and find trail maps. So that's kind of how we got introduced to it. One of the scholarships that Anthony got for college actually required that he do some sort of community service. And they had this whole list of things of like, you can go to a food pantry, or you could do this, or you could like go pick up trash. And he's like, no, this is all boring. I'm gonna do something cool. And so and maybe it was a Facebook event, or maybe we just saw something, but CITA had a work day, and we showed up and we're like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to help you.
I was a trail runner. So I like, you know, everyone grows up riding bikes, right? So I was actually looking for dirt trails to run, reached out to CITA, and they were like, yeah, here's all these, you know, great single track trails. And it was like, I've never had that positive an experience with like a mountain biking group. A lot of my friends were telling me that I would like it. And so I got my first mountain bike. Yeah, I really loved it. So I still trail run, but not as much. I've always loved, you know, kind of being a part of the community and making it better, and just was asked to be on the board because I came to a meeting one day, and I've been on the board since I think 2018, and yeah, so.
If we didn't have the volunteers that we had, we wouldn't have these trails, right? They're the ones that come out after a big storm and cut up the trees and clear off the debris, pick up the trash, or maintain a trail, or build a new trail. This is all 100% volunteer ran. The board is not for profit, nobody gets paid. We're all here donating our time. And if we weren't out donating that time, this would all just end up going back to nature and, you know, becoming weed covered. So yeah, we definitely need and appreciate all those volunteers. It's not our trail, it's not CITA's trail, it's everybody's trail. So anybody that volunteers is, you know, awesome in our eyes.
When you're new to it, you see people working and you ride by, hey, thanks guys, thanks for the work. But you know, once you get your feet wet, start helping out, and you see how much goes into it. And there's some gratification from it too. I mean, you know, you go out and ride a trail that was overgrown the day before, and you get slappers and you're bleeding, and it's, you know, just jungle. So you go out and help trim that, and you leave drenched in sweat, and you're dirty. And next time you go riding through there, and boom, clean shot. You know, it's like, I help with that. So yeah, that's a good thing. It's pretty important to get, you know, people out working on the trails, and you know, it's trails are free, but they're not. You know, essentially. You know, it's you can go anywhere, any trail, anytime you want. Bust the gear out, jump on your bike, and boom, you know, you're not paying anybody. There's no admission fee. So giving back just seems like the thing to do, I guess.
The quality of the trails is not magic, and it's not the county or the city, it's the people riding it for the most part.
The other day, we replaced a wooden bridge at the entrance to Denman's. We got some feedback from our users, especially some of our younger, less experienced users, that the bridge entrance was a little too steep. So you had to dip down and then go across the bridge and kick back up. A CITA member, Randy Aldridge, just said, hey, I've got the tools, I've got the materials, let's go ahead and replace this, and we'll put in a culvert and we'll make it a level crossing. Randy brought in a mini excavator, and he also donated I think it was about a 24-inch culvert. I think it was close to 10 or 15 foot long. Ultimately, we've got a nice level crossing on smooth, compacted dirt that's never really going to go anywhere. It's easier for our users. Arguably, it's safer.
Safer for me.
Woo! Coming in hot, no fear. Yeah.
Sweet.
Just like your dad.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Feet off the bike and everything. Don't let Callan come down here.
Uh-oh.
You coming or you want to walk it?
Those who grew up mountain biking have shared it with others, particularly their children.
Keep those brakes on, a little bit.
Nice. Whoa.
Oh, very good. You're already better than I am.
I didn't think any one of the four of them was going to be able to stop in time.
I was a little scared.
I go down the Wayne Hill all by myself.
Oh, I saw it.
You did awesome, dude.
These kids think this is like a roller coaster back here. It is. The tiniest little up and down. They just love it.
Outdoor recreation as a segment is continuing to grow. And then we find ourselves in 2020.
We saw a 200% increase on just trails alone, but not being able to go out into the community like we usually do, and hosting, our Dirty Duathlon, or doing community events and stuff for outreach. It's been kind of hard.
Mountain biking continues to grow in popularity year over year, which really speaks to the imperative for us to make sure that our trails are designed sustainably and taken care of. When you have a club full of people who can all give a little time, then nobody's doing a lot. And that's the secret to a lot of things, right? When you have a large number of people all doing a little bit, it's not a terrible burden, and everybody benefits. So you can't build enough trails. If you ask citizens what's important to you in their parks and rec department, their trails is always going to be at the top of the list. And a lot of people think about that as the asphalt that runs parallel to a road or through a little pocket park. But when you look closer at it, people understand what a nature trail is. They know what a dirt trail is. They want that experience, and it shows up in the data as one of the most popular things. There are so many places in Iowa where there are trails that could be improved, or there are places where there could be trails where there aren't. And so for folks who want more of this, it's at our feet. All we have to do is show up and make the effort.
This is double top secret, but my next section's out here. Hope to start in the fall. You gotta let everything die off so you can see where you're at and what you're doing. Building trails is what I love the most. Nobody likes to chop weeds, that kind of stuff that comes with it. Everybody wants to help build trails. I was looking for somewhere to build something challenging, kind of a technical feature, and I wanted a hill. I wanted some steps, so might have been a better spot out here, but this is what I found. Wrong gear. That's where it gets you. Before this trail was here, it was just straight up honeysuckle, little trees, big trees, rotted, fallen stuff. Walking through here a lot of times, trying to figure out where you want to go. Sometimes, when I built Rambo over there, it was, some of it was belly crawling. So there was days I was just sitting on a log eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I'd see some people come riding up and over the ridge and gone. They had no idea I was here. That's kind of why I named it Rambo. I was like, I feel like John Rambo out here just watching. I call happy birthday. Because when we built it, I wanted to use this, I call it the pit. I'm like, well, you know, we can get into the pit, but how are we getting out of the pit? And there's only one way out, was, you know, a pretty good climb. Usually you get something named after you because there's a little wreck that takes place. So right down here, it's gone now. Used to be a log drop, and they built it. I think everybody was saying, you know, who's gonna try it? So he gave it a shot, and I think he took a pretty good tumble. He was okay, but I think there was a pretty good laugh out of it, and it was forever known as Fuller's Drop. So we'd just gotten a newer puppy. Her name's Loretta. My wife got her some those thin sliced bones with a hole in the middle. Well, she chewed it out so much, it hollowed that center out so it was thin, and she got it stuck over her jaw. I got here working, my wife called crying. Loretta's, you know, the bone's stuck on her jaw. So they were hooked on her teeth, she couldn't get it off. So they had to take her to the vet and sedate her and cut the bone off. So we just threw dog bone in there as a name.
It can be super intimidating because you just see these guys just like bomb these downhills and they're just going over these features.
If you don't know what you're doing, you can wreck pretty hard there.
I think if you want to get into mountain biking, always wear your helmet. I mean, obviously, but definitely expect to potentially break something.
She went for it. I think she kind of hit the panic button about a quarter of the way down. Front brakes, and she somersaulted.
Hugging a tree at speed is never fun.
I had a buddy, very good rider, and he came down a hill out here, lost control, basically hit a tree head on, shattered his helmet. He didn't get hurt, but man, could have been ugly.
My name is Ben Tufford of Cognition Coaching, and this afternoon we're going to do drops and introduction to jumping. I'm very specific when I'm working with people on trails, asking them to pre-ride, re-ride before free riding. We don't just throw ourselves at trails and say, I don't know what's down there, but let's go check it out. Full send mode on, and then you're going to the hospital.
I've been playing around on some of the flow trails like Denman's and Riverside, but haven't been really confident about those. So I'm hoping to get some more confidence and better skills so that I can enjoy those and get through those routes better.
So start adding some claw, Audrey.
This is a great sport for me. I think getting more women into it is awesome. It's really empowering and kind of forces you to face your fears, and I think it's a great activity for people who are interested in that.
It's wild land. You know, any given time that you're back in Denman's, you're just as likely to see some deer or raccoon or hawks or owls. It's actually really nice to go back there.
Actually, one of my favorite parts of riding is you get out in the middle of Denman's and you just stop. And if you're Strava crazy, you stop your watch or your Garmin as well, so you can just stand there. And it's like, usually we're riding just a little bit before sunset, and so everything is just golden or green based on the time of year. You can just look around and there's trees everywhere, and it's like, this is glorious. I'm in the middle of downtown Des Moines. Isn't it beautiful?
That's a lot of it, you know. There's most of the time you're out here riding and you know, you're going at a good click, you got some buddies and you're out here killing it. But sometimes you'll come out by yourself. Just like this evening, you know, it's cloudy, got a little rain today, but it's still beautiful out here. especially at, different trails. It's different scenery. Banner looks different than Center trails, and Center looks different than Ewing. There's something to look at if you stop to take time to look around.
There's Grandview over on the, I suppose that would be the east-ish side of town. And then we've got Banner, which is in between Des Moines and Indianola. It's an old strip mine. Right now we're here at Ewing, which was farmland. And then north of town over in Johnston, there's Sycamore. And then in the middle of town, by the old Science Center, is what we call Center Trails. And Center comprises of several different individual trails. So there's Roller Coaster, Hillside, Poolside, J11, Denman's, Squirrel's Nest, and Rhythm. So that all of those trails comprise Center. They were old, like, hiking trails, as far as I understand it, from back in the Science Center days when they were there. And then the bikers and the hikers got to it, and the city kind of just said, hey, you're going to take care of it? Cool, there's your trail.
I like Banner. What's your favorite trail, Jay?
I think my favorite trail is probably Banner, which is funny because when I started, that's the one that I absolutely hated. But it's been like a huge accomplishment, actually being able to ride Banner.
I actually really like Center.
Yeah. Center is really fun, just going through in the middle of the week.
Woo!
They're also diverse. Like Denman's is flowy. There's some tree gates, and that as mountain bikes are getting progressing, the geometry is changing and the handlebars are getting wider. And well, trees never stop growing, so the tree gates are getting smaller. Sycamore's fun and fast and flowy, and here at Center, there's like some fun downhills and things of that sort. And Banner's our hardest trail, and it hurts. Ewing Park's special because we have our flow, and we have like an advanced, we've got like boardwalks. I ride based on my mood, and I live really close to Center, so of course I'm going to be out here a little more often. But yeah, I would say it depends on the day.
If you rank them in order of use, definitely Center is the most popular trail that we have in the city, followed closely by Sycamore, and then it would probably be Banner, Ewing, Grandview. And I think that's mostly a location thing. Banner pulls a lot of people up from Indianola and that side of town, but you have so many people in the heart of Des Moines where Center is just so easy for them to get to that it's 5 minutes away from home. So hey, let's go play and have some fun outside.
I think most people are just having a walk. They're not thinking about whose land it is or how the trail got there, or any of that thing. So I think every Iowan has an opportunity, whether they ride a bike or not, to support the quantity and quality of public lands and the trails that are on them.
Volunteer work, it needs to be a lot better. I've been fortunate. I've had some good help. If I really need something out of somebody, I know who I can call to help. I post to our page on occasions, like I'm going to be out doing this, doing that. Sometimes you'll be, hey, you got 6 guys who want to come out and help, and then other times it's crickets chirping. So, and I get that. Everybody's got stuff going on. Yeah, it's pretty important.
First one. Not a problem.
The community of CITA is just amazing. You start riding a bike, and the next thing you know, you stop and you start talking to somebody, and you see them at the trail a couple more times, and then you end up at the brewery and you're having a beer, and now you're a friend with them. I've met more people through cycling and riding off-road in central Iowa than doing anything else. If I was to have a flat tire and there were a group of people, almost every one of them to a person would probably stop and ask if you were okay, if you needed help, if there was anything they could do. And usually you don't, but sometimes you do need an inner tube. But it's that kind of community where we're all looking out for everybody. We're all wanting to have a good time. After you're done, you're gonna get to that parking lot, and I guarantee you there's gonna be a bunch of people standing around, telling lies and saying how high they jumped and how fast they went. And it's a great time because you get a cool down afterwards, and talk to people that enjoy the same thing that you enjoy, and there's just nothing better.
We want to keep these places as nice as we can for generations to come to enjoy. Because you know, the next mountain bikers, that's going to be the next CITA board. You know, these little guys that you see just like riding their striders, like that's the next CITA board. And it's wild to think that, but if we can kind of continue to lay that groundwork and that, you know, foundation and that passion for our trails, think of what we could do. Des Moines would be just even more of an exciting place than it already is.